So Colby Covington and Ian Garry have been going back and forth, going at each other for the past week. And Colby Covington just responded to him again with another phenomenal video. Wait, are these two responses?
Greetings, nerds.
No, that's a Nerds and Virgins mybookie.com video. But this response is hilarious again. So I'm going to show you his newest response. And then what we're going to do after this is we are going to create a card for UFC 304 for Ian Garry and Colby Covington. They will not be the headliner, but I'm going to make an Ian Garry, Colby Covington themed card with a good main event as well. Let's get into this stuff, guys. What did Colby have to say about Ian Garry?
Greetings, nerds and virgins.
It's America's champ. And as you can see, there's nothing behind me. Just like Ian Garry's resume. We all saw your cringy-ass video, Ian. And they'll do what you're told line only works when you're the A-side or Conor McGregor. Not Corner McGregor, you fucking cuck. Ian, you said a lot of dumb shit.
Dude, Colby Covington, when he's slowing it down, when he's speaking fast and he's stumbling and bumbling over his words, he's hilarious, unintentionally.
Fucking stupid. On Saturday night, I'm going to bring you to a place you never want to be. I'm going to bring you to 7th layer hell. Okay. No, I'm bringing you to 7th layer hell.
But when Colby Covington just slows it down and plays it off as nonchalant, man, you're supposed to be in the corner, kiddo. You know, that kind of style of talking shit, Colby's the best at it. In the business, like, Colby is having fun with this, and this is bringing me back to when I was a big Colby fan. Because his trash talk over the past few years has kind of been played out, but this Ian Garry guy is the perfect dance partner for Colby Covington to go at.
You don't dictate the terms here, cuck boy. You're a Gen Z beta, and the only time you do any dictating is when you're on your knees for the nutritionist. You're asking for gimmicks you don't even comprehend.
Yeah, let's go!
I quit match implies there's no disqualification and no time limit. No commission would ever approve that. And besides, we already saw you quit in December before the press conference. You want to talk about what I'm famous for in my title fights? The only thing you're famous for is parading around a nutritionist sloppy seconds like she's Miss Universe. She's a 4 at best. I know you love to cuck it up. But you're about to cut your way out of this fight, Junior. So here it is one last time.
Damn, dude. She's a 4 at best. I know people are going to say that I'm glazing him, but this is just hilarious. Like, how could you not love this shit, man? Ian Garry and Colby Covington needs to happen. The press conference would be legendary unless the reporters mess it up. But either way, we need to see this fight. The UFC is going to be taking a look at both of these guys going at each other on social media. They're going to have to make it.
So here it is one last time. Agree to the stipulations.
I don't think he's being serious with the whole stipulations thing. I know that some people are saying, man, Colby's so pathetic with these stipulations. He knows he's not going to want to fight. I think he wants to fight Garry. I think he's just waiting for the UFC to send him a contract with a big bag. And I think if they do that, because the UFC should understand with how viral everyone's reaction videos are going surrounding this feud, seeing all the likes Colby Covington's getting, seeing him kind of get more traction than he's been getting over the past couple of years, knowing Ian Garry is polarizing, knowing Colby Covington is polarizing, this would be better than a Jorge Masvidal and Colby buildup. And they're looking at Ian Garry, who since UFC 296, where he pulled out of that card, has kind of been stagnating a little bit. Now, he's still relevant, but he's relevant for people and matchups like Colby Covington against guys that are going to talk shit is what I mean. This is the perfect guy to blow Ian Garry up again. Remember how much hype he had going into UFC 296 fight week? And then he fought Jeff Neal at UFC 298, 2 months removed, against a guy that's not going to talk any shit at a press conference where no one's talking shit. The UFC looks at this fight and they see dollar signs, okay? They see this could be Colby's last fight, and we may as well put him against a guy he's going to shit talk against where the fans are actually going to love it. This is the fight to make. So what I'm going to do is I am going to build a card for Colby Covington and Ian Garry right now. So UFC 304 is going to need a solid prelims, all right? We're going to have to work on the plumbing first, the thing that's going to hold up the house, and that would be Kyler Phillips versus Rob Font. I'm laughing at what the third prelim is going to be. Kyler Phillips and Rob Font, I think this will be a good matchup. Rob Font is ranked at number 9 right now. Kyler Phillips is coming off of a great win over Pedro Munoz. It's going to be a great striker versus striker battle. Pedro Munoz, although he's tough and he has a granite chin, he's kind of mid overall. There's nothing that he does that's that excellent. And I think that Rob Font would be a good test for Kyler. Now, I'm worried that Rob Font is going to get KO'd. But at the same time, has he ever actually been KO'd? He's been hurt a bunch in the UFC. He's been rocked. He's been wobbled. And I think that Kyler can do that to him, but we know how good Rob Font's boxing is. It's a good striker versus striker matchup, and I'd love to see this on the prelims. And for Rob Font, it's a step down in competition from Corey Sandhagen. Let's make this happen. Gregory Rodriguez versus Roman Kopylov. Sink or swim for both guys. Now, I'm confident that Roman Kopylov wins this battle, but it is a formidable opponent. It is definitely the most dangerous striker Roman Kopylov will have fought. And for Gregory Rodriguez, this is another formidable foe for him. A guy who, in my opinion, has the best body kicks in the middleweight division's history in Roman Kopylov. And I just think it's a fireworks matchup. Whoever wins this should get a guy that's maybe number 15 or number 14. Tough matchup for both guys. It would be a war. Now, for the final fight on the prelims, there's a lot that you could do with this one. And I've definitely given this some good thought. But I think that what would make the most sense, what really closes out the prelims with a bang, the thing that I believe would get the casual fans rowdy and interested in buying that pay-per-view, would be a guy like Shamil the Blob Gaziev. So even though we know that Muhammad Usman is fighting this weekend against Mick Parkin, I think he beats Mick Parkin, and I think that Muhammad Usman will get a crack up in the rankings after that. Now, Mick Parkin, I think that's looking like an easy feast for the Blob. I think that the Blob probably beats Mick Parkin. And although Mick Parkin trains with Tom Aspinall and all that, and that's kind of the thing that'll hype this fight up. It's, a Tom Aspinall training partner, a really crafty and creative British striker versus a Blob who we know is just engulfing everything in his path. I love this matchup. And I think, for example, for Shamil, who just went from fighting Martin Budai, who, to be fair, let me just say this about Martin Budai. Martin Budai was on a 4-fight win streak going into the Shamil Gaziev fight. So Shamil beating him is actually really solid, and he kind of just ran through him, which is kind of not surprising. I think that this would be a good step back in competition, good breathing room for good breathing room, and I think that this would be a really solid matchup for him, and it would be funny as hell, dude. It would be funny as hell to see Shamil Gaziev fight Mick Parkin. That would just be a really good matchup. So please, UFC, you know what to do. Make this matchup. And now let's get on to the main card. We're cracking it off with Rubelis Despain versus Alexander Volkov. Now, Rubelis Despain got booked to fight in a few months, but he's fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta, who is the pipsqueak that was trying to style on Andrei Arlovsky, who is the 45-year-old grizzled vet that everyone respects. And we see Waldo Cortez Acosta trying to style on him, emote on him, and try to be Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Cool Guy in front of this old veteran. What are you doing? How much of a dick are you to be doing that to an old, respected veteran like Andrei Arlovsky? And it wasn't even like he was dominating the fight. It was actually a razor-close fight, what makes it look even worse. The fact that you're in front of Andrei Arlovsky, who has pillow hands, and you can't even finish him, and you're out here styling on him as if you're doing something impressive, you're going to get flatlined by Rubelis Despain. So Rubelis Despain is going to KO Waldo Cortez Acosta, who is fast, I'll give him that. But he's got no pop, and he doesn't grapple. He's screwed in that matchup. Rubelis Despain is going to eat him alive, literally. And then a good step up in competition. Now, I was thinking it could be Derek Lewis. It could be Jairzinho. I just noticed Shamil peeking through the frickin', bottom of the camera, which is hilarious. But listen, it could be Jairzinho or Derek Lewis, but I think that the UFC should match them up because they've never done that fight, and those guys have always been around the same ranking spot. And think about it like this. Come on. If Rubelis smokes Waldo Cortez Acosta, I know Derek Lewis and Jairzinho are way better. Do you really want to see someone as plotty as Derek Lewis and Jairzinho fight Rubelis Despain? Like, they're probably just going to get KO'd in the first. I want to see a long-rangey striker in Alexander Volkov versus Rubelis, the Taekwondo Olympic champion. Although he was a freaking bronze medalist. He wasn't actually the champ. Okay? Listen, I want to see that fight. It'd be a great fight. Remember when Gon fought Volkov and it was a big step up for him and he had kind of been schooling everyone on the come up and then he had a bit of a tough matchup with him? Volkov, I think he might lose that if Rubelis cracks him with a good shot because we know that Rubelis has one-shot KO power, but Volkov has a lot more experience, and as an MMA striker in the heavyweight division, he is pretty underrated, to be honest. And I think that he would have a decent chance to win that too. And it's not just a walk in the park. It's not a guy that has no idea how to defend themselves in the heavyweight division. It's not some fat dude that should be fighting at welterweight that's just too lazy to get in shape. Alexander Volkov is a legit massive heavyweight. Let's make that fight happen. Second fight on the main card, Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady. Gilbert Burns is coming off of a brutal KO loss to Jack Della Maddalena. And although it doesn't seem like it's a lot of time before July, because if you guys don't know, International Fight Week is going to be late June. This will probably be mid or late July. I think that's enough time for Gilbert Burns to recover if he's going in there against Pillowhand Sean Brady. Sean Brady has nothing to offer on the feet. He got standing TKO'd by Bill Lyle, which is not the best look. Bilal Muhammad was literally lighting him up on the feet and he quit. I think this is a good matchup to make because Gilbert Burns, he's the big swinging dick of the jiu-jitsu community that everyone's afraid to go to the ground with. And then we have Sean Brady that talks a big game that we know is good when it comes to his control. He's the position before submission guy. Let's make this happen because we know that Gilbert Burns is probably not in any danger whatsoever on the feet with Sean Brady. And for Sean Brady, it's time you prove something. It's time you sit in front of someone that has good takedown defense. Because the last time you did, you got TKO'd. Let's prove it again. Let's see what you've done in the meantime since getting KO'd by Bilal Muhammad. Here's Gilbert Burns with big winging hooks and big gnarly overhands. You got to figure that one out. Because let's be honest, we don't love the idea of Sean Brady being at the top of the ranks. He's very boring. And we love Gilbert Burns. So it's a bit of an easier fight for Gilbert. He doesn't have anything to fear on the feet. Let's get on to the next one. We have Arnold Allen and Yair Rodriguez. I love this fight. Beautiful stylistic matchup. Arnold Allen is sitting around the same ranking spot as Yair. And as far as I'm concerned, Arnold Allen is kind of in a Jan-like situation. He kind of won his last fight. Let's make no mistake about it. He should have been awarded the win over Movsar Evloev. He won the first round. He won the third round. He got screwed over by the judges. His fight before that, I'm not going to say he won against Max, but if you actually rewatch that fight, Arnold Allen took 2 rounds off of Max. Now, the scorecards are all 49-46s across the board for Holloway, but I actually would have had it 48-47. It was a pretty close fight outside of a couple of rounds, like the first and the third, where Max kind of dominated in those rounds. But Arnold Allen won 4.5 minutes of the 5th round up until the knockdown, but the knockdown wasn't even counted. My point is, doing that well against Max is solid. I still think Arnold Allen is a future title contender. And for Yair, it's sink or swim at this point, dude. We got to give Yair a tough matchup, and it's a striking battle for the most part. So he can very well win this fight, but he's not a for sure lock because we know his defense is a little bit questionable on the feet. I know Brian Ortega will walk forward like a zombie and just accept punishment. And most guys will not be able to do that because they don't have Ortega's chin. First of all, Ortega's chin, he got dropped a bunch of times by Yair. But either way, Arnold Allen's not going to wade into Yair's kitchen sink strikes like a zombie. I think that would be 2 of the fastest strikers in the featherweight division having a good chess match that's high output as well. I think it'd be one of the best fights we could possibly watch. Let's make that thing happen. Then we have, of course, Colby Covington and Ian Garry. And what would be the perfect fight to pair with it? I'm thinking about Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards. That's right. It's time Bilal Muhammad gets his title shot. I don't think I can come up with a more deserving welterweight contender than Bilal Muhammad. I don't think there's ever been one. Bilal has 3 wins over top 5 opponents. He's got like 5 or 6 wins over ranked opponents. And even though he's not been dominant, the UFC has literally promised him a title shot going into the Gilbert Burns fight, which, remember, they were saving that card because Oliveira and Beneil Dariush pulled out of that New Jersey card last year, and they promised the winner a title shot. Also, it's not like there's another clear-cut number 1 contender. Leon Edwards isn't going to fight Kamaru Usman again. He's nowhere to be found, and no one really wants to see that matchup. I'd like to see Usman go to 85. And we also have Jack Della Maddalena, who's been calling out Shavkat Rakhmonov, and that's a sick fight. They've mutually agreed to it. So this is the fight to make, and guess what? I know that Leon and Bilal is not necessarily fireworks, even though it is the most deserving contender for Leon Edwards. And with all of these undeserving guys getting their title shots, it would be a breath of fresh air. The silver lining as far as a buildup goes and marketing is the fact that you would have Bilal Muhammad, who hates Colby Covington, who's been chirping at Colby for like the past year and a half. Colby and him have had a beef brewing. They would be going at each other the entire buildup. And imagine this. Imagine the scenes at the press conference. Now, of course, leave it up to the reporters to always ruin it by asking the worst possible questions like, how's the weather? Hey, how you feeling going into this fight week? How you feeling getting a cheer from the fans? Leave it up to them to ruin it all. But the bad blood between all of these guys on stage would cancel out all the stupid questions from the reporters that could possibly ruin it. Bilal on stage with Colby is going to be fireworks, okay? You also have Colby and Leon together again on the same stage since their press conference, which was pretty wild as well. And Ian Garry, we're just going to forget about him? Oh, he's on stage too. So we got Ian Garry, who also has a little bit of a awkward thing going on with Leon Edwards because apparently he was kicked out of Leon's gym, and Ian Garry said it was because Leon was insecure, because he was worried that he was going to be training with someone that was better than him, that would learn all of his idiosyncrasies in his game and whatnot. It's the perfect storm. Bilal going at Colby, and Colby going at Bilal, and Colby going at Ian Garry, and Ian Garry and Leon Edwards chirping at each other. And then we also got, who else? Is Arnold Allen and Yair going to talk shit? No, not at all. Is Burns? Oh, Burns and Colby Covington. Colby Covington's going to be calling Gilbert Burns, or whatever the hell he normally calls him. I totally forgot the name that he calls Gilbert Burns. But there's that too. And then you got Sean Brady. And Sean Brady is looking like an easy target for Colby Covington. This would be a perfect card. UFC, take my money if you make something like this. Again, this is stacked. And I know some people in the comments are going to be saying, what do you mean this is not stacked? You got to have McGregor versus Chandler on every single card to make it stacked. These are all phenomenal fights. Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad, the hardcore fans want it. And Bilal Muhammad deserves it. It would be a disgrace not to give him a title shot. It would literally just be evil at this point. Colby Covington, Ian Garry, that's a massive fight, especially pairing it with Bilal and Edwards on the same card. Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady, good solid fight. There are so many questions about how the grappling is going to play out there. A lot of people don't like Sean Brady. They would like to see him sit in front of Gilbert Burns, who's going to be slanging leather as well. We have Arnold Allen versus Yair. Screw trash talk. The way that fight would play out is going to be sick, and we all know it. Robelis versus Volkov. Amazing stylistic matchup. Two long, rangy strikers in the heavyweight division. A big step up for Robelis, but not the most dangerous guy. Not the best guy in the heavyweight division, but the best gatekeeper in the heavyweight division. Who, if you beat, we know that you're legit. Okay? Instead of doing a fat Derek Lewis, who's inevitably just going to get head kick KO'd most likely, even though that would be fun, but I want Derek Lewis to fight Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Okay? Because that matchup needs to be made. And then, as I said, the prelims, Shamil Gaziev versus Mick Parkin. And Gregory Rodriguez, Roman Kopylov, Kyler Phillips, Rob Font. Take my money. This is an amazing card. UFC 304 this July. This is why the UFC needs to start working with me, because it's not about, you just got to get big names against big names. It's not always about that. It's just, are these fighters ranked? Do they have fun styles? Is the stylistic matchup amazing? And is there going to be a little bit of trash talk? Is there going to be a fun buildup? You have everything on this card. And the only way to really sell a Leon Edwards Bilal card, two of the most boring fighters in the game, is to put Colby and Garry on the same card. Perfect. Let's make it happen. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. Until next time.